I'd like to call this meeting of the Festus City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer.
Here.
Councilman Collier.
Here.
Councilwoman Templeton.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Councilman Dennis.
Here.
Councilman Benz.
Here.
Councilman Cook.
Here.
Councilman Tennant.
We do have a quorum. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular minutes and the closed minutes of July 11th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Tonight's bills total $295,466.98. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer.
Yes.
Councilman Collier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton.
Yes.
Councilman Weiner.
Yes.
Councilman Dennis.
Yes.
Councilman Benz.
Yes.
Councilman Cook.
Yes.
Councilman Tennant.
Motion passes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would turn in your copy of the closed minutes to the city clerk. Thank you. Remarks of visitors.
We have none.
Bids. We have the Parks Department has a bid for a skid loader. Shall we have a report, please?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Tonight, I'm here to request the purchase of a John Deere 317G track skid loader with the platinum John Deere warranty that we typically get with all of our backhoes we've ordered in the past through the Sourcewell state bid, like we generally do with John Deere, in the amount of $63,994. This piece of equipment is $994 over budget than what we had for this year. But we earned $3,000 in a piece of equipment we sold in Purple Wave. So we'll just use the $994 from that to have the offset for the difference. That does include their platinum warranty, which we've always had in our backhoes, and it's always worked out real well. And then also to add to that, we also had budgeted $6,500 for a equipment trailer for this. Public Works has quite a few trailers over there, 3 of them. I've talked with Shane and Chuck about maybe taking that $6,500 and getting some attachments for this piece of equipment and just borrowing one of those 3 trailers if we needed to move the skid loader from different parks. We had planned on a brush hog attachment that sits out front of the skid loader and an 8-foot snow plow. That'll help also with those guys for parking lots and hard to reach areas, and we can use our skid loader for that. So trailer, we're probably going to use it. If I say a dozen times a year, that's going to be a bunch. I would rather use the $6,500 to get attachments for this. That'll be used more than what our trailer would be.
So the total is still 63,000.
$63,994 for the skid loader, and then depending on what we want to do with if we can move the funds from the trailer purchase to attachments for this, I would bring back that at the next council meeting to be approved for attachments.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir.
What happens if that brush cutter is 10 grand? You don't buy it?
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, the brush cutter would be, I'd rather have a snowplow for it first. That's number 1 priority because we can use it around our parks, parking lots with the street guys, water guys, anything that would be. But talking to Derek from McCoy, which is the old herb, he said that with the actual Purple Wave money we'd have left over too, because we would still have 2,000 basically in that account. So we would actually have 8,500 for attachments. So he felt pretty confident that he could get us in both of those within that $8,500.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Because I mean. you
For
know,
sure. Yeah, I talked to him. He's very knowledgeable, and they make 3 different types of brush hogs for that. Like light duty, medium duty, heavy duty. We're looking more the medium because I don't think we would cut any trees bigger than 6-inch diameter, and apparently that thing can. So I think that'll fit what we need, and then an 8-foot snowplow to go with it also.
Hey, Greg, question for you, since you're the budget guy. Kind of has a feel where, which I can appreciate the fiduciary responsibility, but I don't want to shortchange when we're getting ready to roll into a budget. Is sharing a trailer of Public Works even ideal? Will that work? And I think Jim brings up a good point. If attachments do come in higher, I don't want to see the Parks Department not buy something they can use when we're getting ready to go on budget and we are pretty fiscal responsible.
Well, I think I think you make a good statement. 2 things. One, Public Works is trailer rich. Them using all 3 trailers on any given day never happens. If it has, it's happened once. So the size of trailer that would be needed for them to move this, which would only be maybe 10, 12 times in a year. Primarily, this is going to be used mostly at Kreitz, but the ability to move it, bring it in town if it needs to be used is available to us. Secondly, this was a budgeted item. So we had the money set aside for him to get this fiscal year. Obviously, with state pricing, we're up a little bit. We're a little higher than we wanted to be. But having the surplus from the Purple Wave for him to be able to utilize to get the attachments he needs. And I think council would be completely understanding if let's say the brush hog and plow both come in and they're 1,500 above the 8,500 that he wants to set aside here. I think it's still something that you could take into consideration, and with surplus funds available in the Parks Department, there's not a lot, but there's enough to be able to cover the amount.
That's my point. I want to make sure we're not nickel and dime parks. And I think most of us would agree when we want the parks to be what they are. So I don't want you to feel like you're being nickel and dime.
Josh and I had a chance, his budget session with myself and Stephanie was today, and we talked, and specifically I asked him, I said, ask council, let's just say, hey, look, we'd like to get these attachments. They would be a lot more useful than a trailer, given the number of trailers we have available. And to be honest, I'd like to see the departments be able to share equipment and resources a little bit more. We tend to put them in kind of silos from time to time. And, Josh has been here for a long time. He's built relationships with the guys in Public Works, and there's no reason why there would be a problem, I think, either from a manpower or from equipment standpoint, that one department wouldn't help the other.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion?
I think it's a good utilization of equipment and funds. I'd like to make a motion. We let him do that and do the money the way he wants.
Motion's been made
Second.
to approve the purchase of the skid loader for $63,994. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Tinnen.
Yep.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Collier,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer.
Oh, yeah.
Motion passes. Get your skid loader.
Thank you.
And now we have a bid from the fire department for thermal imaging camera.
Honorable Mayor and Council, before you is a request to purchase thermal imaging camera out of our new truck fund. Basically, it's going to replace one of our existing ones that's on our ladder truck 6612. The camera is 10 years plus old, and it has a sister camera that's been a paperweight for some time now. Parts are scarce, and we can't really fix it anymore. So we had a couple options here. Sentinel Emergency Solutions was the most expensive one. But with the trade-in of our 2 obsolete cameras, they'll give us $1,000 per camera towards the purchase of a new one. So we had a requirement. It was just NFPA 1801, which is standard on thermal imaging cameras. Basically, it just has a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo that breaks down to the construction of the camera and its capabilities. And that's really about it.
Is there any way to extend that 5-year warranty?
Whenever it says fire service on it, they like to take the warranty away slowly.
Is this camera the one, this is idea? Cause like I was told Rock had a call here 2 weeks ago where somebody was lost in the woods and they used their thermal camera at night to find it. Does that have the same option? That's my question for like, if this is a versatile camera, this is the one the department chose. We're getting the one that you need.
This is the one that we need and the staff chose. We had multiple cameras that we looked at and none of them really met the standard. And this one is actually pretty comparable to what we currently have, except it's just a more recent update.
How many of these cameras does the department have as a whole?
We have 3 operational and we have one that's the paperweight and we have an antique that's out in our sea container. It should be in a museum.
So the one that we're replacing, what's left in the life of the other ones? Or, I mean, is this something we need to look at budget wise that they all pretty much need to be?
So the one that we have on our currently newest truck, which is the 2017 Pierce, is it's a 2017 thermal camera. They bought a new camera for that truck whenever we ordered it. The other one that's in 6610 is also within that age range of 5 to 6 years. So we should be good on the other 2 for a minute.
That's my question. That was my question. If there's opportunity for, if we needed another one and to look at bulk pricing to get 2, then that was my question. If that's something that's needed.
Yeah, we have 3 trucks, so we just need the 3 cameras. I'm not sure why we had 2 of this one. Maybe it was just a leftover from whenever we bought a new one for the new 2017 Pierce. So
On your thermal imaging camera, I know what they basically do, but say you got a high rise fire, it's at the bottom level, can you see somebody upstairs with that?
it depends on the height of the building, but all our buildings in town, yeah, you could see someone as long as there's no glass. There's glass that obstructs.
Oh, well.
Yes, these thermals, we typically use them in fires to locate the fire or victims. We get a vehicle accident, sometimes people get ejected into the woods and then we got to go find them in the middle of the night. So things like that.
Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a thermal imaging camera from Sentinel Emergency Solutions for $5,905.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Collier,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Tenen, Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Benz.
Yes. Motion passes. Purchase your camera.
Thank you.
Tonight, we have 2 ordinances. Bill number 4688 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4688, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending the zoning map of said city as established by the planning and zoning ordinances of the City of Festus, Missouri, and establishing an effective date.
Bill 4688 is open for discussion. Could I have a staff report, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you and council. My apologies for Mark Harris not being here, but I spoke to Mark on the phone this morning. He is home and he will begin physical therapy after his accident last week on his leg. So that's all good news. You see here in the notes, planning and zoning did review this last Thursday. After consideration, they did reject the recommendation for the change in zoning. As has been mentioned here as part of the public hearing, a building requires 200 square feet of floor space. For every 200 square feet of floor space, it's recommended there be a single parking spot. The entirety of the building is 5,200 square feet, which would mean that the existing code would indicate there needs to be a minimum of 26 spaces. There has been some discussion about there being 31 or 34 spaces, but that is also for the entirety of the space. So that was one of the concerns that P and Z had. Also, the zoning requested here, which is B4, is not present in the area. This is a B2 lot. There's B2 adjacent to it, but no B4.
So would that be considered spot zoning then?
Essentially,
So question for you, Greg. If, since P and Z declined it and it's spot zoning, there really wouldn't be much ground for the council to go against P and Z because
no, unless you felt they got it wrong. I think the larger concern there is the type of business that's proposed, which would be car sales and some car repair, with 31 or 34 spaces available. But it's one level of that building that is being utilized. So you still have to take into account 200 square feet and divide that basically in half. You're really only talking about 16 or 17 spaces that by code are available for this business to use. And that would be pretty tight for employees, customers, and any merchandise that would be for sale.
Is there any other discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read Bill 4688 for the second time in title only.
so moved.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you please read Bill 4688 for the second time?
Bill number 4688, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending the zoning map of said city as established by the planning and zoning ordinances of the City of Festus, Missouri, and establishing an effective date. Councilman Cook,
No.
Councilman Tenon, Councilman Venz,
No.
Councilman Dennis,
No.
Councilman Weiner,
No.
Councilman Collier,
No.
Councilman Boyer,
No.
Councilwoman Templeton.
No.
Bill 4688 has failed. Next, we have Bill 4689 on the agenda. Would the clerk please read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 4689, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending section 405.545 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Festus regarding signs in right-of-ways, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and establishing an effective date.
Bill 4689 is now open for discussion. Could I have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was asked to take a look at this this particular code section when an enforcement issue came up with regard to signs within the right of way. And I noted that several years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court changed the standard by which we look at sign ordinances. And it essentially prohibits distinguishing between one type of content from the other. So in looking at the city's current ordinance, we realize that certain signs for certain purposes are allowed and other signs for different purposes are not allowed. And that's no longer compliant with recent Supreme Court precedent. So we have modified this ordinance to prohibit any sign in the city's right of way except signs explicitly required by state law or permitted by state law, and then emergency warning signs directed by government agencies or public utilities that are doing work within the right of way. And then there are some restrictions on signs not being able to obstruct the view from traffic. And we've added a provision that allows the city to remove non-compliant signs after making reasonable efforts to contact the owner or the person who placed the sign. And then the city is entitled to dispose of such sign if it remains unclaimed.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read bill number 4689 for the second time in title only.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read bill 4689 for the second time?
Bill number 4689, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Festus, Missouri, amending section 405.545 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Festus regarding signs and right-of-ways, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and establishing an effective date. Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Collier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Vins,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Timmon.
Bill 4689 has passed. New business.
Yes, sir. You'll see on the agenda the appointment of a personnel committee. As you know, last week we received correspondence from the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 15, asking that the city voluntarily recognize Lodge 15 as the collective bargaining unit on behalf of the sergeants, corporals, and patrolmen with the Festus Police Department. Section 126 of our city code lies out exactly how the city will do that. What it does require is that the mayor appoint 3 council persons to a committee to determine the appropriateness of the bargaining unit. Our legal counsel, Brian Malone and Jim Hetledge, have advised us, and we've since sent correspondence to FOP 15 that we will be doing that appointment this evening. So it would require you to appoint 3 council persons and for us to schedule a meeting via Missouri Sunshine Law requirements within the next 14 days for that committee to determine the appropriateness of the collective bargaining unit. I should also mention that Mr. Hetledge has pointed out that he does feel, based on the correspondence that we received and the communication we've had with FOP 15 in the last week, that the bargaining unit is appropriate, but the committee would need to meet and provide that recommendation.
All righty, sir. And going along with that, I would like to appoint Councilman Cook, Councilman Boyer, and Councilwoman Templeton to make up that committee. And you all will have to meet within 14 days of today to make that decision. I would like to point out that I have had discussions with Sergeant Fitzsimmons and Sergeant Lewis and the chief. And there is no problems that in the police department that need to be discussed. The officers feel that in the future, if there needs to be something come up that they would need to be represented by an organization, they would like to have the FOP be that organization. But once again, pointing out that there is no problems. They have no problems with the police department, the leadership of the police department, or the leadership of this council to cause this. They're concerned about the future, and I don't blame them, to be quite honest. I would want to have some representation if needed.
Sir, for the purpose of the minutes, we would just need that by acclamation. So some yays and nays, not necessarily a roll call.
Okay. I need an acclamation that these three councilmen be appointed to the Personnel Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, you all are appointed. Is there any other new business?
No, sir.
Correct me if, I mean, I would like to add to the new business if I can. We're missing one, there's one person, one seat open on the park board, and I would like to appoint Steve Val, V-A-U-G-H. He has talked to me about it and would like to be on the park board. So with your approval, I would like to appoint him to the park board this evening. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Old business,
We have none, sir.
Councilman Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Greg, if you would, please, could I get a second review on Tanglewood Acres? I got a couple of calls about a dirt track over there, sir. I drove by and looked at it, and I think it's way beyond what I would call an individual use. It's a big lot. So would you be so kind as to take a look at that for me again?
Talking about 704.
Yes, sir, I am.
I will.
Thank you so much. And then Brian, thanks for looking at that ordinance. I appreciate it. I got several calls on that and I got a little nervous. So I called Matt when Greg was out of town and asked for him to reach out to you. So I appreciate you doing that, and hope Mark Harris gets on the mend very quickly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. I have a question, though. You were talking about Tanglewood Acres.
Yes, sir.
That's on the other side of Pounds Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Councilman Dennis.
It's good to see our chief back, Tim Lewis. Been out for a little bit, and like I said, wish Mark a speedy recovery. I think everybody's doing a good job. We had a bad week of heat, and we still managed to function and make it through it. So good job to everyone that did that. So that's all I have, sir.
All righty, sir. Thank you. Councilman Weiner.
Not really very much, but just wanted to thank Barb for continuing to expand, getting the word out with calendars in different places. I noticed one has been there before, but like in the water bill, you know, with everything going on. So I think it's good for the community. So that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Councilman Boyer.
Yeah, kind of what they said, wish Mark a very speedy recovery. He's had some trying times. Barb, you're doing a good job. So I appreciate that too. Not people like that. That's about all I have at this time.
All right, thank you. Councilman Collier.
Yeah, I'd like to wish Mark a speedy recovery. It's kind of a horrible accident that happened to my mother twice with both of her femurs, and I'm sure he'll have a speedy recovery. I'd like to thank the departments for working in this heat safely, and especially the supervisors that are letting them take breaks to cool down so they don't get overheated. And we just have to keep continuing on, and that's all I got.
All righty, thank you. Councilwoman Templeton.
Just best wishes to Mark and reiterate what everybody else has already said.
All righty. Thank you. Councilman Tenon.
Can't hear.
That's all I got. Councilman Vins.
Same here for Mark and everything else that's been said. One other thing to Chief Lewis. I know now I realize you were out the other day when I tried to call you. I know we're not allowed to say nothing to people on the street that are begging or whatever you want to call it. But when they get aggressive, what do they have the right to do? Do they still call the police or?
They can call, they don't have a right to be aggressive. We can't stop them from soliciting on public property.
Right, I know.
They get aggressive when they block the flow of traffic or they threaten somebody, then that crosses the boundary, they can call us.
Apparently there's been someone pretty aggressive over there by Arby's or in front of Walmart, one or two of those spots. Apparently they don't like to say no for an answer they want and they demanded. I don't know who it was. Apparently, when I tried to go find out who it was, they were gone, but I've been approached a couple of times about it and I said, well, they do have the right. We cannot stop them from what I understand, but that's.
I would just tell people, don't even, if anybody asks, don't even engage with them.
Well, they tried not to, but they were aggressive to them.
The best thing I can tell you to do is ignore them.
Okay.
Now, if they touch the car and they grab the car, that's a different story. But we can take action then, but as far as soliciting.
Yeah.
In St. Louis County, 2 years ago, lost a multi-$100,000 case. It's very.
Yeah, I remember you told me that, and that's why I told them, I said, they do have the right. We cannot stop them. Because like I said, I hear the complaints all day long at Walmart, but they said they're in front, because Walmart says that they know they can't do anything about it once they're in front of, off their property, but
It is aggravating.
yeah, that's what I tried to tell them, but they said a couple of them were really aggressive. That's the ones they were scared for.
Again, I would tell them, don't engage. If it were me, I'd tell everybody, don't give anybody anything, because they're here for a reason. That's because people give them stuff. So if we would stop giving them things.
Well, believe me, I know it, you know it.
I know it.
Especially as healthy as I can see this majority of them look like, it's like go get a damn job down the street somewhere. So, but yeah. But other than that, that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Well, I too would like to commend all the department heads on the work that's been done through these hot days and taking care of your men, making sure that they do get breaks and they do have enough fluids that they could drink. Having worked in these kind of conditions myself, I know exactly what it's like. Of course, I was a lot younger then, but you all are doing a good job of getting things done in spite of how hot or how cold it might be. That's all I have. Is there any other comments from anyone? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.